Welcome back to Takeout. Back at the table. Get my steps in today. Hillary Clinton says MAGA is waging war on empathy. In an Atlantic article, Clinton criticized Christian conservative influencer Allie Beth Stuckey for her concept of, quote, toxic empathy, unquote. Here is my conversation with Stuckey about that and a lot more. Toxic empathy. What an oxymoron, Hillary Rodham Clinton writes. I don't know if the phrase reflects moral blindness or moral bankruptcy, but either way, it's appalling. Allie Beth Stuckey, she's talking about you specifically. How do you want to respond?
She is. She didn't really take the effort to try to understand my argument. And actually, the subtitle of my book explains it pretty well, how progressives exploit Christian compassion. This is not a demonization of compassion or even all empathy. It is to say that our empathy can be wielded in the wrong direction by people who want us to not critically think, not ask questions, and simply to feel our way through politics. And I think that there's a better and more loving and more thoughtful way for us to choose our leaders and to decide on policy.
Definitions matter. How do you define sympathy as opposed to empathy?
Yeah, sympathy means feeling for someone. Compassion means to suffer with someone. Kindness is usually an action, and I would define love as seeking the best interest of someone. But empathy literally means to be in someone's feelings, which could be helpful and lead you toward kindness, but it can also be very blinding. If you feel so deeply what someone else feels, you can forget that there are other people involved in this moral equation. You can even be blinded to objective reality and morality. So that's the problem, I think, with the nature of empathy is that uh, it actually has the ability to eclipse our critical thinking.
In that piece in The Atlantic, Hillary Rodham Clinton again talks about you in this way. This commissar of MAGA morality targets other evangelicals whose empathy, she warns, has left them open to manipulation. Maybe, she writes, they recognize the humanity of an undocumented immigrant family and decide that mass deportation has gone too far. Or, she writes, they make space in their heart for a young rape survivor forced to carry a pregnancy to term and start questioning the wisdom and morality of total abortion bans. It's all toxic to Stuckey.
This is actually a perfect example of what toxic empathy is. We should see the humanity of someone who is an illegal immigrant. That should not lead us to being against deportations or to open up the border. We should have compassion for the woman who was raped and who is carrying a child. That should not lead us to justifying killing that child. Basically, the position there is that the child should get the death penalty for a crime that he or she did not commit. And so, yes, that is my point, that we should see the humanity and have compassion for these individuals without allowing us to support policies that I believe are very destructive.
Diagram, if you will, for me, the moral equations for an undocumented immigrant arriving at our border, poor, famished, needing assistance.
Yeah, there are legal ways to claim asylum, and I am open to that. I want people to be able to claim asylum in a way that is legal. I want people to be able to claim refugee status in a way that is legal. And we have pathways to do that. Many countries have pathways to do that. But I also care about the legal immigration process. I have seen legal immigrants walk through that very difficult, years long process. And I want justice for them. I want fairness for them. I do not think it's right, nor do I think it should be legal to cut the line to come here illegally. And I think every country has a right to sovereignty. And sovereignty means protecting your borders and enforcing common sense immigration law.
And the moral diagramming of the rape victim who traumatized, feels objectified, criminalized by an offender, does not want to bring a child to term because that would extend all of the things she most felt criminally invasive upon her in the original act of rape.
Well, I think all of us would agree that we wouldn't kill a child outside of the womb because he or she was the product of rape. And if we are not killing people outside of the womb because of the circumstances surrounding their conception, then I don't see the moral justification for killing a baby inside the womb because of the circumstances surrounding her conception. The only difference there is time. And are we really killing people based on their location and their age? Look, a baby inside the womb is a human being, and he or she should have the right not to be murdered, no matter how they were conceived.
The article that Hillary Rodham Clinton wrote had the headline, MAGA's War on Empathy. Do you do you see yourself as someone who is objectively at war with empathy?
No, I don't. I want people to see the vulnerability in what I believe sometimes to be emotional propaganda that gets people to not think about both sides of an issue. And I really want people to approach this as a Christian with this dichotomy of the truth and love. The thing about love that we read as Christians in the Bible is that it is inextricably intertwined with the truth. That's 1 Corinthians 13:6. And so I want us to seek the truth in love, loving other people while still realizing that order is important, that morality exists, that babies in the womb have value, and that we don't want more Lake and Rileys. And so all of this has to play into how we decide on policy.
You can catch my full conversation with Allie Beth Stuckey on YouTube, or you can listen on your favorite podcast platform.